practice that isn't always motivated by how, lovely flowers, giggles, and bubbles you feel in the moment, okay? It's brushing your teeth, making sure you look presentable, or, in a way that's pleasing to yourself, bathing yourself regularly, making sure your space is tidy and clean and neat. It's taking care of those different priorities that keep you functioning well, all right, as well as keep things in your life running smoothly. It's really taking care of yourself. The fluff and the lovely things and the extra things, but also the day-to-day things that will really keep you functioning at your highest, keep you doing well, and self-care, it's important for me to drive home the point that it's not just the fluffy, cute stuff, all right? Because self-care encompasses every area of the life that impacts the self, right? So we're talking about, physical nourishment, for your physical body, your physical needs, mental and intellectual nourishment, psychological and emotional care. We're talking about things like your relationship spiritually, okay? All these things go, how you manage a work-life balance, the efforts or the work that you put towards your dreams, your goals, your passions, right? Because all of these things, your finances, things like that, all of these things impact how the self is doing, all right? And I want to make it very clear that as believers, we don't get a pass on self-care. God is very concerned with how we treat ourselves, how we tend to ourselves. Okay, even the word says, I desire that you be in good health and prosper in all things, even as your soul prospers. Sometimes as believers, we really put off taking care of ourselves and taking care of ourselves well to serve. But the Lord has called you, yes, to put others before yourself, but not to neglect self, okay? Not to neglect self like you don't matter when the King of Kings loved you so much that he sent his own son to die for you, all right? He desires good things for you. He says he's blessed you with every spiritual blessing. And I can go on, so don't get me on that. But there's a very strong biblical basis for taking care of yourself, okay? Like, serve, yes, and take care of yourself. All right. So the next thing that I want to talk about why you've been, so that was the first thing, that you've probably been struggling with self-care. If you think that self-care is, if you have the misconception that self-care is just about the beautiful, fabulous, flamboyant things that you can do for yourself, or that it's just something that you do for yourself when you feel like it. Oh, I'm feeling really stressed today and I want to take a bubble bath, or I want to kind of work out the tension in my muscles, right? If you think of self-care in that way, then self-care, you're probably still going to struggle with it, because it's more like a nice option. It's more like like a getaway vacation. It's not necessary, but if you really want to and you feel like you got the means and you can do it. Self-care is not just that. It's that, but it's not just that. Self-care is an integral daily practice, not just to take amazing care of yourself, but also to take care of those basic needs and to take care of them well, so that you can continue to function well, right? And serve. All right, so that's the first thing. Like, we've got to realize that self-care is not just, a privileged option. Now, some aspects of self-care could be, depending on what you do, but it is a daily practice that is not always motivated, feel like doing. Sometimes it's what you do to take care of yourself because it needs to be done, or because you should, and also because of your relationship with yourself, right? You deserve it. And that brings me to my second point of why you might still be struggling with self-care despite all the hype, right? Because your relationship with yourself, if you see me looking down, I'm looking at my notes, but your relationship with yourself highly impacts your motivation to and your consistency of self-care. So let me tell you what I mean by that. The relationship that you have with yourself, how you feel about yourself, how you think about yourself, really those fundamental beliefs that you have about yourself, those things really impact how motivated you are to take care of yourself on a daily basis, and how likely you are to be consistent with that practice. And the reason why this relationship with yourself, I'm sorry guys for this light, like I can't have it anyway. But the reason why is because what we care about truly, and what we really value, we put more care towards. We take more. We pay more attention to, like, and the same thing goes for yourself, right? Think about the last time that maybe you got a new phone, or maybe a relationship you have with someone you still really, really, really care about, right? You probably still call or check on that person even when you don't feel like it. You probably keep that phone clean, keep that iPhone in a case. Okay, you know what I'm saying? I need a screen protector. I'm willing to spend the extra little coins because I got to keep this safe and protected. I really care about this. I just got this. This is very valuable to me. It's a similar thing when it comes to the self. How we really feel about the self, how much we really value the self, what we really believe about the self is really going to show itself when it comes to how willing and motivated we are to take care of the self, and how much we want to keep up with that. You ever had something for a while and you start to value it less, and maybe you want something else and you're just kind of settling for this thing right now, and you realize you start to treat the thing that you do have now like dust, whereas when you first got it, it was like, oh yeah, don't touch this, not gonna mess this up, da da da. But now it's kind of like, oh, you just throw it here, throw it there. Sometimes we treat ourselves like that. And the reason why I'm stating this is because if you find that you've still been struggling with self-care despite the hype, you like all the quotables on Instagram and Twitter, you like the pictures and all of this, but you still find it difficult on a daily basis to kind of really prioritize yourself and your own needs, to really look after yourself, then it's likely that it's worth exploring how you really feel about yourself, what you really think about yourself, what you really believe about yourself. And the reason why I'm putting so much emphasis on really is because sometimes we're not completely honest with ourselves, right? Sometimes we fake ourselves out. And if we don't take the time to really pay attention to our relationship with ourselves, whether it's paying attention to how you think up here, paying attention to how you talk to yourself in your own mind, paying attention to how you respond to your faults, your setbacks, what you think are your limitations, what do you think are your limitations, why? Lots of different things that we can explore to get a better understanding of how am I with me? Like, are me and I good? Like, that's a very important question, because it's likely that there's some stuff going on internally between you and you that impacts how valuable you think it is to take care of you, even in the little nitty bitty ways. You ever met somebody who, even on their worst day, if they're not, feeling their best, there's still certain things that they're going to do for them, because they're like, what I need is important, and if I can get what I want is important too. I'm going after that. Even if I'm not doing my best and I'm taking a break, there's still some things that I do for me because I need that, right? That keeps me good. That keeps me sane. That keeps me happy, right? That keeps me taken care of. That keeps me healthy, whatever it is. There are some people who they don't care what's going on in their lives. If they ain't doing nothing else, they going to the gym, okay? Like, because they're part of their priorities is taking care of self, right? And we want to strive to be like that. But if there's some stuff going on with how you really feel and think about and evaluate, worth, how you esteem yourself, there's some stuff going on down in there that maybe we're not mindful or aware of, that can really get in the way of wanting to do the day-to-day things to take care of ourselves, because it's not always going to feel like fluff and rainbows, like I stated in the first point, okay? The next point is that self-care, this is a big one because I've been through this so heavy, and I know there's so many people who have, a lot of my clients have, but self-care is really complicated by mental health recovery and stressful life circumstances. All right, so if you are a person who has still been struggling to implement self-care, to take care of yourself better, prioritize yourself better, treat yourself better on a daily basis, despite all the hype, despite how cute it is and how much you want to and how much you wish you did and all this stuff, maybe you got some extra things going on that's making it more complicated. And this is often connected to my last point, which is how you feel about yourself and stuff like that, but not always, right? because people in mental health recovery, like this is what I'm talking about. Say you've been dealing with depression, say you've been dealing with anxiety, say you've been dealing with, maybe a loss in your family. There's so much going on. A lot of people are suffering losses, and my condolences to you and your families, right? Say you're dealing with stuff like that, or maybe you lost your job or something like that. These kind of extenuating circumstances can really affect your motivation to take care of self because of the way that they often negatively impact your relationship with yourself, how you think about yourself, right? Lots of times when I was depressed really heavily, the way I think and feel about myself, not so great. Do I want to take care of myself? Not really. Do I want to? Sure, but do I want to? Do I think it's worth it? Do I think it's necessary? Do I have the energy? Do I have the motivation? Do I have that drive? No. And a lot of times these things can really, really, really complicate setting up